There comes a point in life when the noise around you becomes deafening. The opinions, the pressure, the expectations, all of it piles up until you can barely hear your own thoughts. You begin to question your worth, your purpose, your path. But deep down, something whispers that there's another way to live, one rooted in control, calm, and clarity. This is the way of the Stoic. The Stoics didn't chase comfort or applause. They didn't seek validation from crowds or cling to things beyond their reach. They focused on mastering one thing: the mind. They knew that if you could control your thoughts and your reactions, the world could no longer control you. That's what this video is about. The brutal Stoic laws that will rewire your mind, strip away weakness, and forge a strength that cannot be broken. Listen carefully. These lessons are not easy. They challenge your comfort, your emotions, and your old way of thinking. But if you apply them, truly live them, you'll begin to see life differently. You'll become steady where others panic, peaceful where others rage, focused when others fall apart. Law 1. Control your response, not the world. Every day, people waste energy trying to control the uncontrollable, other people's opinions, unpredictable, events, outcomes that were never theirs to dictate. They get angry when things don't go their way, frustrated when plans fall apart, anxious when others don't meet expectations. But the Stoic sees this differently. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This single sentence holds the blueprint for unbreakable peace. The world is chaos, always shifting beyond your control. But your reaction, that's yours. You can't stop the storm, but you can decide how you stand in it. When someone insults you, you can react with rage or respond with calm. When life throws you a challenge, you can complain or adapt. The power lies not in changing what happens, but in mastering how you interpret it. The Stoic response is never about suppression. It's about transformation, turning every setback into a lesson, every insult into practice for patience, every loss into fuel for wisdom. Think about it. The strongest people you've ever met, the ones who radiate calm no matter the situation, are not lucky. They are trained. They've learned that emotional control is true power. They've realized that reacting impulsively only multiplies pain. Responding with awareness, however, dissolves it. When someone wrongs you, the ego screams, "Fight back." But the Stoic mind asks, "What's in my control here?" Often the answer is only your response. So choose it wisely. Choose not to give others control over your emotions. Choose to remain centered, even when provoked. Because every time you choose calm over chaos, you strengthen the muscle of mastery. Imagine if every insult bounced off you, every setback made you wiser, every disappointment became fuel for patience. That's not fantasy. That's Stoicism in practice. The world remains chaotic, but inside you become unshakable. This is your training ground. Every difficult person, every bad day, every unexpected twist, they're all opportunities to practice control. Don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "How can I use this to grow stronger?" When you stop trying to bend the world to your will and instead bend your will to meet the world, you begin to experience real freedom. You stop chasing control outside yourself and start building control within yourself. And that's where unbreakable peace begins. Because you'll never control the storm. But you can become the one who stands unmoved within it. Law 2. Embrace discomfort. Discomfort is the forge where strong minds are made. The Stoics knew this truth well. The body grows through resistance, and the mind grows the same way. But in today's world, comfort has become a silent poison. We surround ourselves with ease, soft beds, quick fixes, instant entertainment. And yet we wonder why our spirits feel weak. Because the moment life removes its safety nets, most crumble. The Stoic, however, doesn't seek comfort. He seeks challenge. He doesn't fear discomfort. He welcomes it. Seneca once wrote, "Difficulty strengthens the mind, as labor does the body." What he meant was simple. Struggle is not punishment. It's preparation. Every hardship, every inconvenience, every rejection is the gym of the soul. You can't expect to be unbreakable if you've never been tested. You can't claim inner strength if you've never endured outer pressure. That's why the Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort. They fasted. They slept on the ground. They imagined loss, hardship, and poverty, not because they were pessimists, but because they wanted to train for reality, so that when misfortune came, it found them ready. Most people wait until life punches them before they learn to stand tall. But you can start training now. Take cold showers, wake up early, work when you don't feel like it, practice silence when you want to argue, walk instead of drive. Choose the harder option, not because it's easy, but because it makes you stronger. Every small act of chosen struggle sharpens your spirit. The Stoic law of embracing discomfort is not about seeking pain. It's about removing weakness. It's about proving to yourself that your comfort does not define your peace. When you choose to suffer voluntarily, involuntary suffering loses its power over you. You no longer fear pain because you've already walked through it willingly. Marcus Aurelius trained his mind daily for adversity. He said, "Ask yourself at dawn, what tasks are before me today? What pain, what pleasure, what loss, what gain, what duty?" He faced life head on, no illusions, no avoidance. That's the Stoic path, not to escape hardship, but to embrace it so completely that it no longer frightens you. True growth begins at the edge of discomfort. It's the cold morning you don't want to face, the difficult conversation you keep avoiding, the dream that requires patience instead of excuses. The Stoic sees discomfort not as a wall, but as a door, and only those who walk through it find strength on the other side. Discomfort reveals who you are when everything else is stripped away. It shows you what remains when ease disappears. And if you can learn to smile and struggle, to stand tall when life tests you, to act with courage when fear whispers stop, then you are already winning. Because every moment you spend avoiding discomfort is a moment you spend running from your own potential. The Stoics didn't run, they stood firm. They looked difficulty in the eye and said, "You will not break me." And when you live like that, discomfort becomes your teacher, and resilience becomes your nature. Law 3, detach from outcomes. The third Stoic law is one of the hardest to live, detach from outcomes. Most of our suffering doesn't come from the event itself. It comes from the meaning we attach to it. We build expectations in our minds, stories of how things should go. And when reality doesn't match our script, we break. But the Stoic understands the outcome is never yours. Only your effort is. Epictetus said, "Do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them as they happen." It's not about giving up. It's about giving up control over what was never yours to command. You can plan, prepare, and act with purpose. But once the arrow leaves your hand, the result is out of your control. Peace begins the moment you accept that truth. You can do everything right and still fail. You can love with your whole heart and still lose. The Stoic doesn't measure himself by results, but by integrity of action. He asks, "Did I give my best? Did I act with virtue? Did I keep my character intact?" If the answer is yes, then the outcome, whether victory or defeat, doesn't define him. Attachment to results breeds anxiety. Detachment breeds power. When you stop obsessing over how things should be, you can finally see things as they are. You can enjoy the process instead of clinging to the reward. You can focus on being excellent, not just on winning. Think about how much time is wasted on what you can't control, worrying about success, craving approval, fearing failure. Every one of those thoughts steals your present moment. The Stoic mind, however, stays grounded in now. The only thing that matters is this action, this breath, this effort. Everything else is smoke. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care in the right way about what's within your reach. You plant the seed, tend the soil, water it daily, and then let go. You don't panic about when it'll bloom because you trust that nature has its own timing. When you detach from outcomes, life stops being a series of wins and losses. It becomes a continuous practice of growth. You start acting out of principle, not pressure. You start finding peace in doing your duty rather than demanding a reward. There's a saying among the Stoics, "The obstacle is the way." When you detach, every obstacle becomes an opportunity. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every ending becomes a beginning. Because your value no longer depends on what happens. It depends on who you are while it happens. The truth is, the universe owes you nothing, but it gives you everything you need to practice virtue, patience, and wisdom. When you release your grip on results, you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. You become lighter, calmer, freer. The Stoic mind doesn't cling. It simply does what is right and lets go of the rest. Detach from outcomes, and you will discover what true peace feels like. Law 4. Discipline over emotion. Discipline is the foundation of freedom. Without it, you are a slave, not to others, but to your own impulses. Every time you let emotion dictate your actions, you surrender control. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you weaken your will. The Stoics understood this truth deeply. The man who masters himself is more powerful than the man who conquers cities. Seneca once said, "No man is free who is a slave to his passions." That means if anger can control you, you are not strong. If laziness can stop you, you are not in command. If fear can silence you, you are not yet free. Freedom in Stoicism is not the ability to do whatever you want. It's the ability to do what is right, even when you don't want to. Most people wait for motivation to act. They wait to feel ready, but the Stoic doesn't wait. He acts. He understands that emotions are weather, temporary, shifting, unreliable. Discipline is the anchor that holds steady in the storm. You can't trust the wind, but you can trust your anchor. Marcus Aurelius trained his mind like a soldier. He wrote, "At dawn, when you rise unwillingly, let this thought be present. I am rising to do the work of a human being. Discipline means doing what must be done, regardless of how you feel. It's showing up when it's inconvenient. It's staying calm when anger calls. It's remaining patient when you want to react. When you make discipline your compass, emotions lose their power over you. Fear can visit, but it cannot lead. Anger can arise, but it cannot command. Desire can whisper, but it cannot steer. You begin to act from principle, not impulse. From wisdom, not reaction. Discipline doesn't mean coldness, it means clarity. It's not about suppressing your feelings, it's about understanding them and choosing your response consciously. The Stoic mind doesn't deny emotion, it directs it. Anger becomes fuel for justice, fear becomes awareness, pain becomes strength. Think of discipline like a muscle. Every time you resist distraction, you strengthen it. Every time you follow through when it's hard, it grows, and eventually it becomes automatic, your nature. You stop fighting to be disciplined and start living as if you could not be otherwise. In the end, discipline isn't punishment, it's power. It's the ability to trust yourself, to know that no matter what chaos life brings, you will not fold. You will act with purpose, not panic, with focus, not fear. That's the mark of a Stoic, unshaken, unwavering, unstoppable. Remember this, emotions scream for attention, but discipline whispers truth. The loudest emotion fades, but the quiet strength of discipline remains. And when you master that, when you live by discipline rather than emotion, you become untouchable. Law 5. Silence eyes strength. In a world that never stops talking, silence has become a forgotten art. Everyone wants to speak, to be heard, to prove a point. But the Stoic understood something the modern world has lost. Silence is power. The quieter you become, the more you hear. The calmer your mind, the sharper your understanding. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. That calmness is born in silence. It's the ability to listen, not just to others, but to yourself." The Stoics practiced stillness because they knew that wisdom doesn't shout, it whispers, and only a quiet mind can hear it. Silence is not weakness, it's mastery. When you stop reacting to every insult, every opinion, every provocation, you take back control. You realize that you don't need to explain yourself to anyone. You don't need to prove your worth through words. The truth speaks for itself. In silence, the Stoic observes. When others rush to judgment, he pauses. When others argue, he reflects. This pause, that gap between stimulus and response, is where freedom lives. It's where choice is born. It's where peace begins. The modern world mistakes noise for power. It rewards those who shout the loudest, not those who think the deepest. But silence terrifies people because it reveals what's really inside. When you sit in quiet, your thoughts become louder. You see your fears, your doubts, your truth, unfiltered. The Stoic doesn't run from this. He welcomes it, because only by facing yourself can you master yourself. The one who can remain silent in chaos holds the highest power. When others lose control, your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting their weakness, not yours. You learn that reacting to everything gives power to everything, but when you say nothing, you choose peace over pride. Seneca once said, "Anger, if not restrained, is more harmful to us than the injury that provokes it." Silence is that restraint. It's the invisible armor that shields your mind from chaos. You learn to let go of the need to win arguments, to correct every wrong, to defend every opinion. You start valuing your energy more than your ego. Silence is also strength and patience. The Stoics believe that words are best used with precision. When you speak less, what you say carries more weight. When you listen deeply, you learn more than 1,000 loud voices ever could teach you. Silence becomes your teacher, your shield, your power. In a noisy world, your calm presence will stand out. Your quiet confidence will command more respect than noise ever could. The Stoic doesn't compete for attention. He earns it through composure. Because when your mind is still, your spirit becomes unshakable. Remember this: not every battle deserves your voice, and not every opinion deserves your reaction. Sometimes silence is the most powerful statement you can make. Speak less. Observe more. Let silence be your strength. Law 6, Memento Mori, remember you will die. There is one truth that humbles kings and beggars alike: you will die. No matter your wealth, power, or ambition, death is the one certainty that binds us all. The Stoics didn't run from this truth, they embraced it. Memento Mori, remember you must die, was not a morbid thought, but a wake-up call. It was a reminder to live with urgency, clarity, and purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." Imagine living with that awareness, not in fear, but in gratitude. Every sunrise becomes a gift. Every conversation becomes precious. Every breath becomes sacred. The Stoics meditated on death to strip away what didn't matter: ego, greed, procrastination, and focus only on what did: virtue, courage, wisdom, love. We live as if we have endless tomorrows, but tomorrow is never promised. How many dreams have died because someone said, "I'll start later"? How many words of love were never spoken because pride stood in the way? Memento Mori reminds you that life is not waiting for you. It is happening right now. When you remember your mortality, you begin to see clearly. Petty arguments lose their power. The opinions of others fade into silence. You stop chasing validation and start chasing meaning. Because when you accept that your time is limited, you stop wasting it on what's trivial. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. We drown in distractions, delay what matters, and treat life as a rehearsal, when in truth, this is the show. This is it. Every moment is a scene that we'll never replay. To live with memento mori is not to live in sadness, but to live with intensity. To look at life and say, I will not let this day pass unused. It's about waking up and realizing that the people you love, the dreams you hold, and the breath in your chest could all be gone tomorrow. So love fiercely, forgive quickly, speak truthfully, and live deliberately. Because death is not the end. It's the reminder that every moment before it must be lived with fire. The Stoic does not fear death because he understands it gives life meaning. Mortality makes time valuable. It transforms every act, every decision, every second into something sacred. Memento mori is not about dying, it's about finally learning how to live. When you carry this awareness daily, you no longer postpone life. You stop saying someday and start saying today. You become focused, grateful, and alive in a way most never are. Remember, death is not the enemy. Wasted life is. Memento mori, remember you will die. And because of that, choose to live fully. Law 7, expect adversity. Life will test you. That's not a possibility. It's a certainty. The Stoics didn't just accept adversity, they prepared for it. They knew pain, loss, and disappointment were not punishments, but teachers. The world doesn't owe you ease. It owes you opportunities to grow stronger. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That is the essence of Stoicism. To use every challenge as fuel." When something blocks you, you don't stop. You adapt. You rise. You let hardship refine you, not define you. Expecting adversity means you are never surprised by it. When pain comes, you greet it like an old friend. You say, I knew you would come. Now let's see what lesson you've brought. That mindset transforms your suffering into strength. It turns chaos into clarity. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can I learn? The Stoic doesn't wish for an easy life. He wishes for the strength to endure a difficult one. Because strength without resistance is impossible. Courage without fear is meaningless. Growth without struggle is a lie. Every obstacle is a forge, and your mind is the metal. Seneca said, Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Think about that. Every time you face pain, you're in training. Every rejection, every failure, every heartbreak, it's your gym for the soul. The Stoic doesn't curse the weights of life, he lifts them. Expecting adversity gives you power because nothing can surprise you. When people betray you, you stay calm. When plans collapse, you stay focused. When the world tests you, you smile because you've already accepted that struggle is part of the path. And when you no longer fear the storm loses its power. Remember this: the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. The Stoics understood that the more intense the pressure, the purer the soul that emerges. Pain is the process. Discipline is the transformation. Endurance is the reward. When you expect adversity, you live in peace. Not because life is easy, but because you no longer resist its nature. You begin to say, "Let it come. I am ready." Every challenge becomes a chance to prove your character. Every hardship becomes a test of your composure. And every fall becomes the foundation for your rise. The Stoic lives by one truth: the obstacle is the way. So when life gets difficult, don't break, don't retreat. Breathe, adjust, and move forward, because adversity is not your enemy. It's the training ground for greatness. Law 8, control what you can, release what you can't. There is one principle that sits at the heart of all Stoicism: control what you can and release what you can't. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest disciplines to master. The moment you learn this truth, peace becomes possible. The moment you forget it, suffering begins. Epictetus taught, some things are in our control and others are not. He called this the foundation of freedom. You can control your thoughts, your actions, your reactions, but you cannot control what others think of you, what life brings you, or how the world behaves. The Stoic separates these two and focuses only on what belongs to him. Most people do the opposite. They waste their energy trying to change what's beyond them: other people's opinions, the past, or the unpredictable future. That's why they're constantly anxious. The Stoic, however, understands that peace comes from focusing his power inward. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. When you stop fighting what's outside your control, you stop being a victim of circumstance. You stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start saying, "What can I do right now?" That question shifts your entire life from helplessness to strength. Control is not about dominance, it's about direction. The Stoic directs his thoughts, his choices, his focus. He trains his mind to remain steady no matter what happens externally, because no matter how wild the storm, your response is always yours. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That's the truth most never learn. Peace isn't found in controlling the world. It's found in mastering yourself. When something bad happens, the Stoic doesn't resist reality. He accepts it, learns from it, and moves on. Acceptance is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's saying, "This is beyond me, but my attitude is not," and that single thought transforms pain into clarity. Letting go is not giving up, it's giving space. Space for peace, space for focus, space for growth. When you cling to what you can't control, you suffer twice, once from the event and again from your resistance. But when you release it, you become untouchable. Freedom begins when control ends. The Stoic doesn't demand that life bends to his will. He adapts to life's rhythm, and in doing so finds harmony. So remember this: control your mind, your actions, your focus. Release everything else. That's not defeat, that's enlightenment. The one who masters this law becomes mentally unbreakable. Every Stoic law you've heard, from discipline to detachment, silence to control, is a piece of one truth: strength begins in the mind. The world will never stop testing you, but with these principles, nothing outside of you can ever truly harm you. You were not born to be fragile. You were born to be forged by pressure, pain, and persistence. So live these Stoic laws. Let them shape your mind into steel and your soul into peace. And if this spoke to you, if you felt something shift inside you, then don't just move on. Subscribe to this channel and stay with this journey. Every video here is designed to rewire your mind, strengthen your focus, and make you mentally unbreakable. Because Stoicism isn't just ancient wisdom, it's a blueprint for modern strength. Stay calm, stay focused, stay stoic.